Well, hi there. For USCFsales.com, I'm Steve Lopez with another Fritz 13 tip for you. In the last couple of videos, we have looked at full analysis mode and Blundercheck mode, a couple of different ways to have Fritz analyze your games and give you information showing you where you went wrong in your games. Very important for your development as a player, as I said in the first video in this short series. This is probably the most important feature of any chess playing software, is the ability to analyze games. You can play games all day long on a computer and you're not going to get any good until you get feedback, until you find out what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. And that is where any piece of chess playing software worth its salt really shines, is in showing you where you went wrong. There's a couple different ways to do it. In Fritz, we've looked at how to set up the parameters of full analysis and Blundercheck. Now we want to look at the output. We want to show you the differences between them. First of all, full analysis mode looks like this when you're done. What you get in full analysis that you don't get in Blundercheck: you get an ECO code and the name of the opening at the start of the game. You get a little N for novelty. That shows you where one player left book. You get game citations. Fritz will go into a database, and we've looked at how to set this up, but Fritz can go into a database, like mega database or big database, and pull in citations to related games, just like you see in a book or a magazine. Here are some other games using similar openings. You will get colored arrows and squares, graphic commentary on the board. For example, you get a little comment: white prepares the advanced G5, and that is illustrated with a little arrow right here. That's what this little symbol, this colorful symbol, means right here, is that there is a colored arrow or colored square in the board position at that point. In full analysis mode, you get little natural language comments, not 5 paragraphs on the isolated d-pawn, just some small comment to let you know that something's going on here. You get diacritical marks, question marks, exclamation marks, just like you see in a chess book or magazine. You also get informant style symbolic chess notation. For example, here at this point, after h takes g5, very bad move, black has let it slip away. Instead, he should have played h5. This little symbol here means better is. h5, black would have a significant advantage. That's what this symbol means. Of course, instead of this, white plays this, and now white is winning, just flat winning. If you don't know what these symbols mean, you're covered. It's in the help files. Go have a look. Look for chess symbols. They're in the help files. Explanations of all these symbols if you're not familiar with them. However, something that you don't get with full analysis that you do get with Blundercheck, and I'll show you in a minute, is, well, I'll give you an example. After h takes g5, white is just flat winning. g6 simply worsens the situation. Well, how much worse can it get? White's already winning. If instead black had played knight e7, followed by these moves, white would still be winning. However, it's better for black here than it is here, but we don't know how much better. We don't know what the difference is between white winning here and white winning here. What Blundercheck gives you is numerical analysis. It shows you exactly how much better, and I will illustrate that. We've talked about time training questions. When you have a time training question in a game, which has been provided in these couple of games I've analyzed, you double click on a game, it pops you into the time training question. Notice that you do not have the complete game score. Instead, you have 3 asterisks at this point. These asterisks mean there is a timed training question at that point, a tactical problem for you to solve. You get about 5 minutes. Fritz is very generous with the time on these, by the way. If you get a Fritz trainer disc or some of the old text-based chess base opening discs, there are a ton of time training questions on them, and you usually have 30 seconds to 2 minutes, maybe 3 if the writer is being very generous. Fritz always gives you about 5 minutes to solve the problem. It says, please enter a move for white. I have to pick a move here. I would say if the knight comes here, of course the rook attacks the queen, that's probably it. Sure enough, correct, you entered the strongest move. If you enter the wrong move, it'll tell you, it'll give you multiple opportunities to solve the problem. And notice now the rest of the game is displayed for us. Scrolling up to the top, we do not get the name of the opening. We do not get a little N for novelty, but we do know where somebody left book, even though it doesn't have N for novelty. We have a string of moves that are not analyzed because they're from the opening book. Right here is the last book move. Bishop e6 is where somebody left book, so there would be an N here if we were using full analysis mode. Notice that for each move in the game, we have an evaluation. Given in pawn increments, 0.92 means that at this point, white is ahead by 92/100ths of a pawn, almost a full pawn ahead at this point. Notice that, of course, white is a pawn ahead materially. That's what this little pawn symbol down here means, but he doesn't quite have full compensation. That's why I'm saying this is so much more precise than full analysis mode. There are two numbers separated by a slash. The first number is the evaluation, the positional evaluation. Positive numbers mean that white is ahead. Negative numbers mean that black is ahead. The number after the slash is the search depth, how far ahead Fritz looked before presenting you with this evaluation. So, for example, white is ahead by almost a full pawn, and Fritz looked ahead 20 plies. Those are half moves, so he looked ahead 10 moves before coming up with this evaluation. You get that for every move in the game if you've set it up. Of course, we've looked at the parameters in the last several videos of how to set this up. If you set it up to give you evaluations, you'll get them for every move in the game. It's not an opening book move. The cool part here is that we can see exactly how much better one line of play is than another. At this point, for example, after bishop d2, white is winning by about a half pawn. Notice, however, bishop takes h3 is a disaster for black. Even though it looks like there's an attack, white can get out of it. White will actually be ahead by 1 2/3 pawns after black plays this move. Instead, had black played this, and this line of play been followed, the evaluation would be about a half pawn. In other words, black could have held it together by playing rook a b8. The evaluation would have not changed much at all, 0.54 both times. If he played rook on a to b8 instead of starting an attack on the king side immediately, in which case he's in trouble, believe it or not. That's some interesting stuff. That bears looking at, and I'm going to look at it later after we're done with this video, because that's really, really interesting. It looks like there's going to be a furious attack here, but white can get out of it. Notice, though, that white doesn't. White plays bishop takes d5 counterattacks, and now the evaluation is dead even, 0.00 at that point. So instead of being ahead by 1 2/3 pawns, white plays this move instead of just capturing. And after a string of moves, we see that he would have been way ahead. He plays this move instead. Now it's going to lead to an even game. And you notice that over the next several moves, it does stay at 0.00. That's why I say Blundercheck is much more precise. It's a little bit harder to use. It requires a little bit more thought on the part of the user, but it's way, way more precise than full analysis. That's not to say that Blundercheck is better than full analysis mode, because as we've seen in full analysis mode, you get other information. You get the name of the opening, you get some citations, it points out the novelty. The choice is ultimately up to you, which one you want to use. One is not necessarily better than the other, just each one has its advantages and disadvantages, and that's what I wanted to show you in this video. The difference between full analysis mode, as we see here, what you get back from Fritz in full analysis mode, and what you get back in Blundercheck mode. So make your pick. Both of them are beneficial, and you should absolutely be using this feature. This is why, you may not know it, but this is why you bought Fritz, is to have Fritz analyze your games and show you where you made your mistakes. Until next time, for USCFsales.com, I'm Steve Lopez. Thank you for watching.